Good morning, everybody. How's everyone doing today? We've been having rain, and today started off as a clear day, so I'm all happy about that. Is the picture and the sound okay? Let me know, because I can't tell from this end. Hiya, Javi and Junior and Sean. How you guys doing? John? Hey, Rick. Good to see you. Clyde? Orange Hand. Al, how are you, Al? Dominic. Hey, Richard, how you doing? Buenas tardes, de España. Great. Little earlier today, I was looking at this high underachiever. I was looking at these two French watches, and I hadn't heard of either one of them. And oh boy, one of them is like a really top-notch watchmaker, and the other one has some stuff that's really good and affordable, more like the ones you find with there are a number of Germans who take a 6498 and fix it up and everything. That group, but this one's French, and he does a really excellent job. So anyway, that was a fun thing to find out about. Let's see. Hey, Abdul, how you doing? No, it's not Sin, Al. It's who are they? There's one of them who's actually in Nuremberg. Clyde, do you remember? Clyde and I had a live stream on them one time. Anyway, I'll talk about those another time. Today, hi, Andrew. Today, what I'd like to do is to talk about the winners of the Grand Prix d'Horlogerie de Genève. Hey, Max Blation. And so let's talk about these. What did you think about it before we get started? Hello, Hans. How are you? How are things in Greece? Kyle. Good morning, Kyle. I say good morning. It's 8 a.m. in the morning here in. So I'll call it the New York time zone, because if I call it the Bloomfield time zone, nobody would know where it is. Anyway. Okay, Tudor keeps winning. Yes, they do. GPHG winners, good, but Breitling. Yeah, that was my. When I looked at the particular two Super Oceans that won, both of them had that sort of phony baloney name for their movement. The B17 is really an ETA something or other, and why not just say, look, this is an ETA and we did this to it and so forth. I have no idea why one would win the Petite, what is it called? Petite Aiguille against, a handmade watch by Harboring, but, there it is. And something's going on that's not right. Something's not right. Okay. Hello, Hans. How are you? I really think the two Breitling wins were pure politics. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe there's something about it. I don't know. That's my immediate reaction. Sort of throwing them a bone. You could say that about the Aiguille d'Or, the Grand Prize by Piaget. But I think the Piaget actually deserved it, though. Hey, Clyde, Tourby watches. Those are the ones, Clyde, I was trying to think about. Thank you. Tourby, and there are a couple other ones too, and they're really nice watches with 6498s or 6497s that have been dolled up with super finishing. Maybe all elections are rigged. I don't think so. Some are, but not. I think there's. I don't know what it is. I talked to one a few years ago. I think it was in 2017. A watch by Eberhard won, the sports watch, And my God, I said, it did have an ETA in it and so forth. And I talked to one of the judges, in fact, the judge who was sort of in charge of the group who did those watches, I mean, the sports watches. And he said, he said for the price, it were like $2,500 or something like that. He said, we looked at that watch and all of the things that they did with it, and purely mechanical. Yes, it was sitting on top of an ETA, but the other ones weren't doing as much or about the same, but their prices were like, they wanted $20, $30, $40, $50,000 for their watches. He says, how can you justify that? He had a point too. Sort of like, if you dump a bunch of money on a watch, and that's the only watch you make. I think the best example of that was a number of years ago. Tag Heuer put together this gorgeous, amazing watch. I think they priced it at $150,000, made one and gone. And well, yeah, okay, that's I don't know. Probably not rigged, but with specific scoring approach. This year they had several more judges. Yeah, I wonder where they got them from. Maybe that's it, depending on the makeup of the. I don't know. Hi, Indrajit. Happy Diwali. Yes, Happy Diwali. I don't know what that is. Oh, it's a festival celebrated in India. They got a really cool one where everybody paints each other. They throw these paint bombs. What a cool, that would be a neat thing. Hey, Brian. Oh, good. I'm glad you made it, Brian. Hey, Kyle, what's up? See, what about Jaeger? Yeah, that's another one. Jaeger and Benzinger. Yeah. Amazed at a lot of watch manufacturers subcontract to others. There's a term, I got to tell you now, this is something that's called établissage. And établissage, let me see if I can write it down here so you can see it. Établissage is something that goes way back when all of these little different parts of Switzerland, they'd make a part for this and a part for that, and then it all come together. But it wasn't like, here's the movement, here's the case, now I'm a watchmaker. That I don't think. What do you call a watchmaking contest without Patek and Rolex? I call it one that they don't want to lose. That's what I'd call it, Orange Hand. Look at in 2007, Rolex put 2. They didn't even make it to first base. Patek Philippe has won a lot of them, and FP Journe has won more than Patek Philippe and Vacheron Constantin in terms of the Aiguille d'Or. So, like, oh, this is my favorite brand, and they're not in there. Too bad. The reason they're not in there, a lot of them aren't, is they lose, and they don't like losing. I mean, why should they? Here you got a reputation like Rolex. Doesn't make any sense at all to put a watch in against other ones that it's going to lose because the other ones are better. Now, on the other hand, but you throw in, like Mikey likes it, put in Tudor. And if Tudor loses, that's okay. If they win, hey, we'll take credit for it. No, I don't buy that. It's like no. They have won some. Patek Philippe, especially Patek Philippe, has won 2 Aiguille d'Or, the grand prizes. So has Vacheron Constantin. Vacheron Constantin has begun putting more in. Patek Philippe decided they didn't want to lose. Why chance it, right? Both Rolex and Patek Philippe, though, do support the Grand Prix d'Horlogerie de Genève. Okay. Parmigiani and Vuitton were my favorite. Piaget was the most deserved win. Yeah, I think, Abdul, I sort of agree with you on that. But I tell you, there were so many watches there that were so good. Let's take a look at the winners real quick, and we'll see what you have to say. Okay, here they are. The first one up here. This is the Piaget that won the whole enchilada. They had to call it the whole enchilada instead of the the golden the golden hand. Okay, so that, I don't know. There are a lot of different things that could have won. I'm glad they won that. For some reason, I didn't vote on this guy when in the Grand Prix picks, but this was my favorite. I was really happy to see Beauvais win this. It's the what's it called? The Audrey. Yeah, this is Audrey. I think it's one of his daughters or something that was named Audrey, or maybe his wife. And he's got some watches for ladies' watches. Now, the reason I like this, it looks exactly like my 1930, except it's smaller and a few other things about it. Anyway, any thoughts on the women's? No? Everybody okay with that? Hepburn. What about Hepburn? Do they make watches? And chronograph streamliner truly is there. Okay. How about the ladies' complication watch prize went to Charles Girardier. This is this one. I think it deserved it. Really did. It was really good. The men's watch went to Kerry Vouten-Lannen. Now, Vouten-Lannen has won quite a few, and his stuff is excellent. And how would you like to, if you were the guy bringing out a Rolex for the men's watch, how would you like to go up against something like this? You know, or Patek Philippe for that matter. And you wonder, gee whiz, how come they're not in there? Well, I'll tell you why. Because there's some really excellent watchmakers. You got to get away from this herd mentality. If you don't, you're never going to have interesting watches. And I've become to believe that. I have a Patek Philippe. I love it. I have some, I really like certain Rolexes like the Air King, and I'd like to have one someday. Same with Vacheron Constantin. These have sort of a herd appeal. But, you know, that's not the only game in town. And it's important to understand that. And if you can't say, oh, I can't afford that. Okay, that's all right. You don't have to afford something. Let me show you what I got. This one has a Jacquet 736 movement in it. And it's by Maurice Lacroix. This is by Maurice Lacroix. Maurice Lacroix always made really good watches with somebody else's movement. I happen to like this one. It's the Jacquet 736, of course, was by, I think it was Jean-Pierre Jacquet, who had to go to jail for a while. But he made this really interesting movement, and nobody's quite sure exactly what was involved in it. Okay, enough of my preaching. So, you know, quit whining about the most common types of watches. If they win, they deserve to win. If they lose, they deserve to lose. It's with the exception of two Breitlings. Okay. Hey, Hamed, how you doing, man? I am not on the Bulgari bandwagon, but they did turn my head. You know, I don't know. I called Bulgari one day, and they the one in New York, and I answered the phone, and Bulgari. I don't know why I laugh every time I hear it pronounced correctly. So they're really something. Okay, you guys. I'm sorry about going off on that on everyone about like. So I won't do that again. I think the Bulgari works. It doesn't scream, stand out, but it works. They also have the BVL 191. I think is their movement. That's a base movement they have. That is their own. I think that's a good thing. I think they made a major screw up with Gerald Junta and Daniel Roth, but you know, that's behind him. Oh, Shaver, how's it going? I don't like that there was no Laurent Perrier in winners. You know, Hamed, I understand that. But he wins a lot of them. He's got a lot of stuff. So, you know, sometimes this year, but not next year. It seems that Kerry Vouten-Lannen wins every year, but there's a good reason. Look at the this one. Okay, this is for the men's complication watch prize. This one right here. by Girard-Perregaux. Now, there were like 6 watches who were the finalists in that category. And all of them were so good, any one of them could have won. And so, it's sort of like, what are you going to do when you have watches that good? Again, Rolex would get killed in a category like this. Patek Philippe with certain watches might be able to hold their own. Okay, Bulgari, I think the iconic watch prize, now, if anything that's bogus, it's that, is that they have somebody who has a watch that looks like the watches used to look like, and they give a prize for it. I just don't get that. Maybe you guys do, but I don't. Hey, Tim, how you doing? Hi, Roman. Okay, I didn't expect BB58 to win. Yet another. I'll get to that one in a second. Okay, let's go through this. Okay, this one right here is the chronometry watch. Now, to me, one of the most important wins that any watch can have is a chronometry, because basically it talks about, or it looks at the number of features of the movement that add to excellence in chronometry, and that's important. To me, it's one of the most important things. So the winner of that was Berthold, Ferdinand Berthold. He's won before too. This one. They're all also members of the AHCI, the Independent Watchmakers Group. That's important to know. Now you say, well, this whole thing is rigged. Why would it be rigged? These guys are, like small potatoes in terms of industry. Okay, they're nothing like you take like Tag Heuer or Rolex or some of these other behemoths that exist in watchdom, and yet these guys are winning, and they're not part of a larger group. They're not part of Richemont and so on and so forth. Some of these are, like this one. Okay, all right, let's go on to the next one, see what we got here. Okay, Vacheron Constantin Calendar and Astronomy Watch Prize. Vacheron Constantin, this one. Well, I'm a big fan of overseas, and I'm a big fan of Vacheron Constantin, but I don't know about this one. There were some other ones that I liked that were more subtle. Maybe that was it. What did you think of this one, though? Anybody? Peterman Badat. Yes. Hans, he was the guy that I liked, and he did win one. We'll get to that in a second. Not fond of skeletonized watches, Gilberto. Same here. Hey, Wesley, I love the VC win. Did you? Okay. I like the VC, but just not crazy about that watch. Hey, Kyle, very busy. Yeah, that was my sense too, Kyle. Busy, yeah, but like the profile. VC, too much flash. There's 2 O's in that, Tim. Already sounds like it's going somewhere. Okay, you need a magnifying glass for that VC. Yeah, I know. It's would I mind having it? I wouldn't mind at all. Okay, next to it is a Beauvais 1822 Mechanical Exception Watch Prize. Well, this is really interesting, this Beauvais. What Beauvais did when they sort of really restarted, there's no connection between Beauvais and the original Beauvais. That the one I have from the late 30s, early 40s was actually, I think there was sort of a great-grandson or something who was still involved with Beauvais at the time. But this is part of the 1822, which is Pascal Raffy's thing. Always glad to see them win, because this is what they did. Instead of going out and, getting watch movements, they bought a number of companies that put together into a watchmaking company of their own called Demier. It was Demier something or other. And so they've been producing some really interesting watches. Um, I don't know. There's something Rube Goldberg about this watch, but still, I really like it. The other thing I don't like about this, they have two kinds of cases and setups. One is the crown and what's it called? The crown and bow, which I like. That was on the women's win, and then they have this is called the demi-air case. I like the other one because it's more in line, but this demi-air case was more popular. Here's an interesting thing about this one, about the Streamliner. First of all, I'm very glad that I won. This watch on the Grand Prix pick, more people picked this watch to win than any other single watch in the whole contest. They really like this and appreciate it. The movement is by Agenor. They worked with who is it? The branch of H. Moser that does the movements is called Precision Engineering. And Agenor and Precision Engineering put this little beauty together, which I think is terrific. I know it's not for everyone, by the way. A lot of them don't like the streamlined style, but that's okay. So I don't think anything was sort of in the ballpark. And you say, wait a minute, they won last year on another one of the same movement. Well, the movement was changed. This one didn't include an hour hand, and it did include a column wheel that they added to it, and a few other things. So anyway, it deserved to win. I'm glad it won, and I'm also glad to see H. Moser win too. I take credit for it. When I interviewed Edouard Melon, I said, well, why don't you put something in the Grand Prix? And he said, he thinks he thought it was rigged too. I said, oh, man, go ahead and do it. So I take credit for that. Of course, he listened to me. Okay, let's see what we have next. Okay, now we have the Divers Watch Prize, and that's the Breitling Super Ocean Automatic 448 Boutique Edition. There it is, right there. It's not that it has an ETA in it. That doesn't bother me because the Eberhard won with an ETA, and they said they had an ETA. They have these phony baloney names in Breitling movements. Like this one is B17 or 17, something like that. Both of these have the same movement, by the way, and they're both ETAs. Now, nothing wrong with that, okay? But what I would like to see, if they're going to win something, say, look, we have an ETA, and this is all those things that we did with it. We put this on it, we did that on it. That's what Eberhard did, and they won, and deservedly so. These guys winning, I think, sort of sends a wrong message. Go ahead and put in put in any movement you want. You can call it Rumpelstiltskin. We don't care. I don't think that's right. I think if you're going to have a movement by someone else, because these guys talked about the work they did with Agenor in creating this watch, why not put it in? They did. Okay, enough of that. It's just something that rankles me. I think that watch collectors are the people who buy watches. They buy lots of them. Most people buy one watch and they'll never know whether they got screwed or not. Okay. All right. So let's see what we got. Van Cleef and Arpels won the Jewelry Watch Prize. I think I said at some point, never bet against Van Cleef and Arpels. This is why. They have worked a lot with Agenor. Most of the wins and the Grand Prix wins they have was with that. Now, this Jewelry Watch Prize is simply I guess it's just a pretty watch. So, you know who's won that? I think not jewelry, another one. They've won the Artistic Crafts Prize. What I say about not betting against Van Cleef and Arpels, they won this one too. A lot of times you see the picture of it and you go, yeah, but then when you handle it and look at it and you go, holy smokes, Rick, yeah, who cares about generally your wife. I'm going to send you, Rick, I'm going to send in your wife a picture of this and say, this is a prize winning thing. I bet Rick would like to get it for you. They care about it. Okay. All right. Now we get to the Petite Aiguille. And again, we have a Breitling Super Ocean Heritage 57 limited edition. Both of the ones by Breitling are limited editions. Now, there's a limited edition and a limited edition. I think a Breitling limited edition can run into the thousands. The only one with infinity is what's his name? Josh. Blah, blah, blah. Forgot his last name. Anyway, Josh's watch are called Infinity. He's got a neat little second hand with the infinity signal to it, but they're all limited. Let's face it. This one, every year. This is another one in the challenge division. Now these are watches under $4,000, and I think that Tudor puts them right at the edge, and so they could get it in this category, and they win. It's the same watch. I swear they just have it's the same watch with a different paint job, the Tudor, and they have a manufactured movement. So they check off all of these things that judges are looking at. Oh, it's got this and it's got that. And I think they ought to win. So they do. Okay. Now, there are a number of prizes that the Grand Prix has that I've always wondered about. They're not competitive in the sense that the watchmaker doesn't enter. Is that a noise? Anyway, you guys hear a noise? Like buzz? If you do, let me know. Yeah, the BB58. Rick, I agree with you. There's a difference between a nice watch, but then you look at the competition and you say, how come I didn't win? I think this is one of the things that we have with these. Now, okay, let me go back to what I just was talking about. And that is the whole notion of prizes that sort of come out of the blue. With the Grand Prix Prick, we take all the categories that are competitive, is that different watch companies can enter their watches in the jewelry or the men's or the chronograph or chronometer, any one of those categories. And then there are these other ones that they have that are sort of like, well, we'll see what the judges like. Okay. This one is Innovation Prize by Parmigiani Fleurier. Now, this watch is something that is, I was hoping to see it win in the category that it was originally in, but there were some other watches. I don't know, the ones who won the category that are in, and so they gave it to Innovation Prize for. In other words, I think sometimes the Innovation Prize goes to, well, we got two watches here. They're both really great. Well, we'll give one the Innovation Prize and give the other one the category prize. This is called the Heiji Perpetual Calendar. This was really unique, this particular watch. And, they got a real watchmaker in Michel Parmigiani. In 2017 or 2018, one of the two, Parmigiani won 2 awards. And there was old Michel Parmigiani holding up both of the awards. They get the finger for awards. And this time they had the CEO. And that sort of signals something to me sort of interesting. I think it was sort of like, okay, we're going to be a serious business. I think the Sandoz family told them, look, you guys, we've been keeping you guys afloat for years and letting Michel Parmigiani do all of these innovations. And, but we got to start thinking about making some money. So they had the CEO accept the prize. Okay. Let's see what else we got here. All right. Oh boy, I think I have sort of a weird way of this printed out. Okay, now they have another one called the Audacity Prize. The one that won is by H. Moser and MB&F. And this is something, both of the ones that were won by H. Moser was a collaboration, one with Agenor and the other one with MB&F. And I like that. I like that whole concept, because here you have sort of bright lights from different places and watched them putting together a watch that, I mean, to me, this watch is just amazing. And it's good to see that they won something. Finally, is this horological revelation. I don't know. It's a horological revelation. Okay, it's sort of, the term is an interesting one. The Petermont Bedet, this is one that I was rooting for. There was this one, and then this young French guy who made this. He was one of the finalists, made these really great watches. So when a company like this, a couple guys with, I think they're German, if I'm not mistaken, I could be, but or they might be Swiss. They put together a really, horologically excellent watch. So that was good to see. Now, the difference between the Revelation and the Audacity, I have no idea. I think they're just like, well, we got a couple watches here that didn't quite make it, but they deserve something. And so they bring out those prices. Same for the Innovation Prize. Now, Abdul has a good point here. It says the whole innovation is that the lunar calendar is 11 days less, with the irregular months ranging from 29 to 31 days than the 356 calendar used. So it's more complicated and was never done before. That's why. It's absolutely right. And this is why there's two good things about that. I think, given that it's the only watch like that, I think it's going to have some very strong sales, which Parmigiani needs. God knows. People like me have been buying great new Parmigianis that have been discounted. They're trying to get away from that. Same with H. Moser. And with these wins, I think it helps them along that road. Okay, by the way, too, the winner of this year's Grand Prix award, the Grand Prix Picks Award, was a guy named Drew. I'll contact Drew and send him his prize watch. There was nobody who picked the correct Piaget. The finalists, there were 5 different Piaget watches that were nominated, and so you had to put something other than just. And he put the only Piaget that wasn't even entered in the whole contest. So he didn't win the Aiguille d'Or prize, but Drew did win the other one. So anyway, that's where we are on that. Man, I've gone on a long time. Hi, Antoine. You're getting discounted H. Moser watches. Automon, yes, I have, but not. They're drying up. They're drying up really quick. These aren't new watches that I'm getting. Well, yeah, they are new. They're unsold, shop worn. But yeah, they didn't sell, and so they were around a long time. They were a watch. That's a watch and a watch company. I don't think a lot of people really learned what they were for quite a while. And that's the way to buy watches, in my opinion, is to find the undiscovered and try to get on it right away. Horological timepieces for the end of days. Yeah, horological revelation. Okay. Yeah, I think the only two I have questions about are the two Breitlings. And for the same reason, they're both super oceans. They both have a ETA movement. I always see the Petite Aiguille and the Challenge categories as ones for really young guys coming up with new ideas and things, or old guys who are like startups and stuff. But it's sort of become a left-handed complement for more established watchmakers or watch companies. Same thing with the sports category. And by a left-handed compliment, I said, well, you sort of won the prize that they give over at the children's table, which is like, oh, you won the drumstick. Never mind. Okay. The Bulgari, what about the Bulgari? Yeah, I got a good deal on that one too. They're another one. They're all starting to tighten up. Animan, the thing is that spend some time learning about watches and all of that kind of good stuff. Okay. Outside the watch committee, does anyone else really pay attention to the GPHD? Probably not. But Gilberto, this is what's interesting. Before the paint dried on the statues that they gave away for the prizes, there were ads out already about we won a Grand Prix award, and they even did that with the nominated. We were one of the finalists, So apparently somebody thinks it's really important. At least the marketing wonks say, hey, we better get this out there because people are going to see it as important. To me, it's important for this reason. When I first started collecting, I would, I didn't know what to do. I'd, watch, way back when Archie got started, he had some pretty good stuff, but then he went Archie. And so I thought, well, where can I find, pretty objective information about it? And I turned to the Grand Prix. Now that started in 2001. And so, this is, I think, the 20th one they had. 2020 represents the 20th anniversary of the Grand Prix. And so to me, it was like, I could go in there and find out that, look at the experts and what they're doing and so on and so forth and why they chose a particular watch. When you see companies, little companies like Harboring 2 win 4 awards, that you can't say, what kind of clout do they have? And they're from Austria. They're not from Switzerland or Germany or Japan. And they still win a lot. So you have people in there who are making serious judgments. That's, it's easy to say, oh, the thing is fixed. That's stupid. I really think it is. If it is fixed, find out why and what's going on. Anybody ever do that? No, they haven't. At least I have not seen. So show me, okay, how was it fixed? Now, they may have lubricated them all. They were blind drunk when they made certain decisions. That may be true. But I think, the Grand Prix is something, can be a great learning tool for us all. And like I said, the one chance that I did have to find out about, why was the Eberhard, why did they win the sports prize? And it was because of things that I hadn't thought about. Okay, guys, listen. Hey, Timadeo, how you doing, man? Joas, yeah, yeah, Hanuman. That's what I was thinking. I never sell my watches, so I have a few, but Probs 10 is good ones. Clive, does GPH have any miscongeniality awards? Yeah, that's what they ought to have, is a miscongeniality award. Well, I got a feeling the miscongeniality award is the iconic. I mean, what does that mean? Really, is that, looks like one of the watches that we used to make. I think that would be their miscongeniality. Oh, let's see. Hey, Alex, what's up? My opinion is that it must be a nominations sorted after price tags. For example, 1 to 5K category, 5 and so on. It would be more interesting, really a close reality. Okay. Hey, love for watches from Portugal. How you doing, man? I have a neighbor from, well, she's not from Portugal, but her name is. She has this really unusual name. It's from Portuguese. Okay, guys, listen, I'm over my time limit, but this afternoon, and I think it's 2100 GMT time, 4 o'clock New York time, we'll be back. Javi, how you doing, man? Take care. Rick on watches. Adios. and be safe, everybody.